This couple flew in from Texas, Austin, Texas, for I think it was their 30th wedding anniversary. And we were at a vineyard with the goats, and one of my goats climbed up on her back and peed on her. One of the babies climbed up on one of the guys and fell asleep. And the guy stayed in that pose for the entire class because he didn't want to wake up that little baby that was taking a nap on his back. A group come in who they were in a drug treatment facility. And when we all walked up to the barn to do goat yoga, they just looked so sad. Not a smile, just kind of everybody hanging their head. And then at the end, when everybody walked down, everyone was laughing and smiling. People are so used to connecting with dogs or cats, but when it's something different like a goat and they realize how social and loving they are, I would say that most of the people who come to goat yoga are probably not coming for the yoga.
Welcome back to Tales of Fluff. I'm AJ.
And I'm Emily. We hope you are all doing well. Our episode today takes us outside where goats are a part of helping people relax.
If you didn't guess from that hint, this episode is all about goat yoga, how fun and relaxing it can be, and what actually goes on behind the scenes of such a viral and loved experience.
Yes, and we are joined by Lainey, who actually is the person who started goat yoga. We talked about how goat yoga began, what it really takes to run something like this, the funniest and most unexpected moments during classes, and how animals can completely shift someone's entire day.
It was so much fun getting an inside look to something that is so popular, but also meaningful. So grab your pet, get comfortable, and let's jump in. We started by asking Lainey when her first goat yoga class was and what inspired it.
The first goat yoga class was August 13th, 2016. And what really inspired that was I had gotten really sick and I had just gotten my first two goats. And they just were just the best therapy for me. They just took me from going down like a tunnel of depression. And I just wondered why people were not using goats as therapy animals. So I started inviting people over and everybody left happy. So I started calling it Goat Happy Hour. And I auctioned off a kids and kids birthday party to charity. And one of the moms that came to that was a yoga instructor. And she is the one who said, hey, you should let me have a yoga class here. It's so beautiful. And I was in marketing and I thought, ooh, that would be fun to market. And, I just totally believe that animals and goats especially are just such a gift and a form of therapy. And so I said, let's do it. And so we started marketing goat yoga and it absolutely just blew up, went viral and totally changed my life. And so that is, I think, really how it started.
That is awesome how it started with her seeing the benefits she was getting from owning goats herself. So she wasn't guessing or trying to figure it out. Rather, she knew these goats benefited her in a time when she needed them the most. And they could also have an impact on others in the same way. And they did, from starting out with a small group to now having full on goat yoga sessions.
It really was amazing to hear how it started and continue to grow into what it is today. So, when we heard about goat yoga, one of the biggest questions we had was, are the goats trained before the sessions?
They are, I guess you could call it trained. We spend all of our time with our goats. We get up in the morning, make coffee, go out and go for a walk with the goats. At night, we get done with work, we go out and we'll maybe lay in the field or, go for our goat happy hour walks. And so it takes a long time to get a calm goat. because that's really what we're after. I know everybody loves babies for the baby goats and they're jumping all over, and that is really fun. But it was really developed as, getting down on the goats level and just connecting with them. And so the training was really just loving them. And we never let people give our goats treats because that makes like a chaos situation. And so they just look at you like, "Oh, you're here to love me." And then they will just lay down on your mat and snuggle in. So it's a lot of training, but it's basically we spend all of our time with our goats, making sure that they're just calm and loving.
I really liked her answer about the goats being trained, so showing them love and spending time with them, making sure they are calm around people, and hearing about how the goats lay on the yoga mats with people and just relax with them being in that yoga environment. We wanted to know what goats' personalities are really like.
That's like saying, how would you describe human? They really are just so different from each other. Some are extroverts, some are introverts. I have one goat who wants nothing to do with goat yoga. And I think he judges everyone and he just stands on the in the corner. I have other all the other goats are like extroverts and they have all their special spots where they like to be scratched. I have one goat who is just absolutely a hilarious. He's a boar goat and he's kind of the star of the show. His name is Levi, and he has the biggest personality, and they just make you laugh. So it's hard to say what their personalities are because they're all different, just like humans.
Hearing how goats too have all different personalities just shows how amazing animals are, no matter the species. And like Lainey said, you have some that like being scratched in certain spots, or others that just stand off and judge you. So it's just really interesting to know how different goats can be.
Yeah, and immediately her response was, "That's like saying, how would you describe humans?" That alone tells you how different goat personalities can really be.
It really does. Now, since we heard about the goat personalities, we wanted to know, how do goats themselves improve the overall yoga experience?
I would say that most of the people who come to goat yoga are probably not coming for the yoga. I start out each class saying yoga is not mandatory, but snuggling goats is. So the yoga that we do, it's basically just a lot of stretching, and we don't even stand up in our yoga class. We're always on the ground, always on the goat's level. And I think it just people are getting out and trying something new. Maybe they would have never tried yoga if it wasn't for goats. And I think that's probably a big percentage of those people. So it's making something that somebody probably wouldn't try, come out and do it. And when they do, sometimes they say, "Oh, I actually am pretty good at that," or "I like that," or, we have a lot of repeat customers, but they're really coming for the goat.
That is so funny how people mainly just come for the goats. But really, you can't blame them. Goats sound like they would be super fun to be around. But I also like how it can show people what they are capable of, and maybe even give them a new perspective of moving their bodies that they otherwise maybe wouldn't even have done.
Yeah, it's goat yoga and goat motivation.
For real. So, our next question went in a direction we really didn't expect. We asked Lainey what has been the funniest thing that has happened during a yoga session.
I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was right when goat yoga went viral. So people were flying in this couple flew in from Austin, Texas for I think it was their 30th wedding anniversary. And we were at a vineyard with the goats, and one of my goats climbed up on her back and peed on her. And I know people probably think that would be like a normal thing, but I've been doing this for 10 years now, and that is the only time that has ever happened. So it was mortifying, and she got a free T-shirt out of the deal. But you just never know what goats are going to do.
You imagine on your 30-year anniversary getting peed on by a goat. I would never expect that to happen, but as Lainey said, you just never know.
That's just part of the fun and unexpected moments. And you know they aren't forgetting their 30th anniversary.
That's the kind of story that gets passed down for generations.
Definitely a one of a kind experience, that's for sure. And with goat yoga, we usually see the goats climbing on people. So we asked, what was the most unexpected reaction from someone when a goat climbed onto them during a session?
It was just such a sweet moment. They were in the tabletop pose, and one of the babies climbed up on one of the guys and fell asleep. And the guy stayed in that pose for the entire class because he didn't want to wake up that little baby that was taking a nap on his back. It was just so absolutely adorable. And he was just, he probably will never forget that as long as he lives.
That was such a sweet moment. And the fact the guy stayed in the tabletop position for the whole time to not wake the baby goat is just amazing because that is not the easiest position to stay in for a long period of time, especially with a little weight on your back.
True, but no one would want that moment to end. That is such an awesome experience to have. And after those funny and sweet experiences, we wanted to know a little more of what happens behind the scenes that most people don't know about, like the hardest part of running goat yoga.
I would say probably the one thing people don't expect, but it's the insurance end of it, liability insurance. It's really tough, especially as being like the first goat yoga business and trying to get liability insurance. That was the toughest thing because, they don't have any data on how dangerous it is. And so they were just thinking that it was going to be really a dangerous thing. And so I had a really hard time. I've been canceled 3 times by insurance companies, and it's because it's something different. And they don't want to insure humans coming in contact with animals. So that has been a very difficult part. And it baffled me because they insure rodeos and car races, but goat yoga is I don't know.
I don't think most people would ever think about the insurance side of something like this.
No, and hearing that she was canceled multiple times just because it was something new and different really shows how hard it is to build something original such as goat yoga.
It's definitely one of those behind the scenes struggles people never see. But after all we know, Lainey has to be proud of what she has built. So we asked her, when she steps back and watches a class happen, what part makes her feel the most proud?
It's just seeing how people connect with the animals, seeing the smile on their face. It's something so different. People are so used to connecting with dogs or cats, but when it's something different like a goat and they realize how social and loving they are, they're so in a state of pure bliss on their face. And it's so fulfilling to see that. We also do private goat happy hours where that's no yoga, where people just come out to my farm and spend time with my animals. And I just had a couple leave and their dog had passed away a couple days ago. And I have 2 guardian dogs and they just would not leave her alone. They just would keep on cuddling her. The goats just kept on coming up to everybody. And it was just like they knew they needed love. And it was just so beautiful to see that, to see people, who are hurting, who can, it's not healing diseases, but it's giving them a happy distraction. So that just makes me feel great.
What a feeling that must be to know that you're having such a big positive impact on people's lives. Like that couple who had just lost their dog. and how the goats just kept coming up to them as if they knew they needed that extra love. Seeing that kind of connection is just truly incredible.
Definitely. Animals are just amazing, no matter how unexpected the species may be. They can bring real joy to someone's day. And that leads us to our next question. We asked Lainey, has she ever seen someone's day completely change because they came to goat yoga?
Yeah, we had a group come in who they were in a drug treatment facility. And when we all walked up to the barn to do goat yoga, they just looked so sad. Not a smile, just kind of everybody hanging their head. And there was one guy in particular, and he was just this huge guy. And he sat down on the yoga mat, and both of my dogs just immediately went up to him and laid down with him. And each person had a goat that was just snuggling them so fiercely. And that class was absolutely so magical. And then at the end, when everybody walked down, everyone was laughing and smiling. And it was just amazing to see what a quick transformation just the animals are for us. They're just this natural medicine, and everyone would look like a different person. It was just incredible.
The story about the group from the treatment facility was just absolutely incredible. It's amazing how the animals took those people from sad to happy. And that really is the impact animals can have. I mean, we've probably said it 100 times, but even myself, I can have the worst day at work or just a terrible day in general. But when I come home and I grab my dog because it's been waiting for me and I hug it and I smell it, and whether it smells like Frito Cheetos or if it smells like dog shampoo because it just had a bath, it just makes my day that much better. But even if you don't have pets personally, if you go to a zoo or you visit animals like these people did, it really can turn your day around.
Exactly. And I second that Frito Cheetos because it doesn't matter. I mean, our dogs are literally there for us no matter what our day is, no matter if we're having the most exciting day or if we're having the worst day. Like, our dogs are there wagging their tails or nubs because some of our dogs are poodles. But it's just, it's a feeling that you really can't explain. And I like how Lainey even pointed that out with goats and how much of an impact they can have. And I also like that she said at the end about animals being a natural medicine. I think that is a good way of describing it because they really can be for some of us. So now at this point, maybe you are inspired by what Lainey has built and want to build something similar. If so, our next question is for you. We asked Lainey if someone wants to build something similar to what she has, what piece of advice would she give them?
Well, I would say to contact their county to make sure that that it's legal to do goat yoga on their property. I've seen a lot of people, get going, do all the startup, and then just to realize that it's not allowed and they get shut down. So that would be my biggest advice. And then my second thing would be is that I license my brand out. So they should contact me and I will get them started.
That was such practical advice. Check with your county first and make sure it's even allowed. And I like that she was honest about people getting excited, investing everything, and then being shut down. It shows that passion is important, but doing your homework matters too. And ultimately, she gave the best piece of advice. Contact her if you are really interested.
Absolutely. And a huge thank you to Lainey for joining us and sharing the story behind goat yoga and how amazing goat yoga really is. If you would like to learn more about her work or experience goat yoga for yourself, we'll have everything linked in the description.
And we want to take a moment to thank you for listening. We appreciate every single one of you who continues to support Tales of Fluff by liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing our episodes. But today, we aren't asking for any of that. Instead, what we ask from you is to go sit on the floor with your pet, get on their level, give them a few extra minutes of attention, because that simple connection might mean more than you realize.
Until next time, remember, sometimes the most unexpected animals can bring the greatest joy.